that if you look at it and you look at it with intently, you would see something that is very important in this text. David said something that was very interesting, that reveals the very attitude that we as his people should have towards God. He reveals something as we as his people, the attitude that we should have towards God, because with this technological generation that we're living in, and with this so-called advancement of knowledge, we are as a society sometimes forget about the sovereignty of God. Because we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have all this social media, and we have all this utopia of wisdom at our fingertips. So we as a society, we sometimes forget about the sovereignty of God. In other words, we sometimes forget that he is the ex officio. We sometimes forget that he is the one that reigns supreme. We sometimes forget that he is the one that supplies our every need. We sometimes forget that he is the one who governs the whole universe. We sometimes forget that he is the one that has all the cosmological powers. And David is giving the church a glimpse, a look at, a probe into this important aspect of God's sovereign power. Yeah. I'm going to preach this thing today. In front of the whole assembly, in front of all of Israel, David declares of the greatness of his power. One thing that I like about David, he didn't do it out in the privacy of his home. He didn't do it in the privacy, but he did it before everybody, so everybody can hear. The Bible said that he did it before the whole assembly. If I can just paraphrase, I'm going to say it in front of the whole church. I ain't going to say it in my office. I ain't going to say it at my home, but I'm going to declare this thing in front of everybody. So David declares it in front of everybody that God, what the people need to hear. Let me tell you something. He declares it in front of everybody what the people need to hear. But that the people need to hear that everything that you have, oh my God, it comes from him. It comes from God. And this is what everybody needs to hear. He didn't do it in private. He said, I want everybody to hear that everything that you and I have, if it had not been for God, we wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for Jehovah Jireh. We wouldn't have nothing if it were for Jehovah Nissi. We wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for Jehovah Shalom. We wouldn't have nothing. So David declared it out in the open. He declared it. And in his declaration, he was very careful not to give credit to anyone or anything else than God. I love this. I love the boldness that he had in front of the people. He did this. He said, look, I can't give nobody else the credit, none other than God. And this was awesome because what God people needs to hear is that they have to hear that everything that you have, everything, your children come from God. Your career comes from God. Your health comes from God. And that bank account that you got come from God. Everything that you have comes from God. And David made mention of this. Why? Because sometimes we as people, we forget about his sovereign power. Sometimes we forget about the one who is really in control. And it ceases to register in our mind, First Lady, just how important God is as it pertains to our life. You need to know how important God is as it pertains to your life. God is extremely important, and he should be the uttermost importance of your life. He's important, let me tell you right now. If it had not been for him, you wouldn't be who you are. This God that we serve, I'm telling you right now, I can testify on my own. This God that we serve can take a nobody and turn him into something. This God that we serve can take somebody that's on Skid Row that ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. This type of God that can take anybody, take nothing and turn it into something. I love this God that we serve. Because sometimes we see people as raw material. And we don't see them what God see them as. Let me tell you, you looking at the raw material, baby, but you ain't seeing what God is about to do in me. You ain't seeing the work that God is working in me. That's why you can't judge the book by its cover. Because you don't know what God is about to do with your neighbor. You don't know what God is about to do with her. The one that you are rolling your eyes, the one that you are looking up and down, the one that you are counting out, you don't know what God is about to do in their lives. You don't know. Oftentimes, oh my God, oftentimes, people begin to shift the credit for their success to people and things. So oftentimes I see this all the time where people shift the credit to people and things. Or they perceive that people and things are the source of their true happiness. Let me say this right here. And this is why God led me to this particular text. It's because David is indirectly warning us not to pin our happiness on other things. See, some of us, I'm telling you right now, we forget sometimes, we'll pin our happiness on other things. But David said, no. You don't pin your happiness on nothing else than Jehovah Jireh. While he's praising God in the middle of this people, he never failed to acknowledge his attributes and his sovereignty. He never failed. David always was one that would acknowledge God's attributes. He was always the one that acknowledged God's sovereignty. In the words of David, in his 1 Chronicles chapter 29, he said, yours, O Lord, is the greatness, the power, the glory, the victory, and the majesty. Everything in the heavens and on the earth is yours, O Lord. And this is your kingdom. We adore you as the one who is all above everything. Then one translation said, greatness, power, glory, victory, and honor belongs to you, because everything in heaven and on earth belongs to you. The kingdom belongs to you, Lord, and you are the head, the ruler of over everything. Listen, I need you to understand something. This is the reason why David is reminding God of his attributes and his sovereignty. Because you got to understand why. Why is David reminding God? He already knows that he's omnipotent. He already knows that he's all powerful. But sometimes God wants to hear it from your mouth. God wants you to hear. Every now and then God said, won't you stroke my ego a little bit? Won't you tell me how good I am? Won't you tell me how much I mean to you? Sometimes God wants to hear it from your mouth. He want to hear it. David is reminding God of his attributes and his sovereignty, because David wants God to know that he know that all his success comes from him. Let me say this again. See, sometimes God wants you to know. You letting God know that I know that all my success is all because of you. And that's why you got to acknowledge his attributes. That's why you got to acknowledge his sovereignty, because you got to let him know, God, I know everything that I have, everything that I got, everything that I belongs to me comes from you. It comes from you. And why? Why is this so important to God? Why is this so important to God? See, because David understood this, and yet so many people fail to understand this. By acknowledging his attributes and his sovereignty, you are setting your affections on him. Let me say this again. By acknowledging his attributes and by acknowledging his sovereignty, you are setting your affections on him. And that's why he wants you to do it. He wants you to set your affection on him. Paul said, set your affections on things above and not things on the earth. One translation said, keep your mind on the things above, not on the worldly things. Because I need you to understand something. Your affections connect you to one or two realities. I'm going to say this again. Wherever you set your affections set you to one or two realities. Paul is saying here, there's two realities at work. There are the realities of the things on the earth, And there are the realities of things up on heaven for us, the people of God. Watch this now. Jesus Christ and the realities of heaven should be the center of our affections. See, for the believer, now I ain't talking about to the one that ain't got no relationship, but I'm talking about the ones that have that relationship with God. Jesus and the heavenly realm should be on the forefront of your mind. Morning, noon, and evening, it should be on the forefront of your mind. Why? Because he provides all of us with every need. That's why it should be on the forefront of our mind, because we know that he supplies our every need. Let me say this right here. To think that anyone or anything else other than God can provide you with every need. Watch this now. It's a misconception on your part. I'm going to say this again. To think that anyone or anything else other than God can provide you with every need is a misconception on your part. Watch this now. Philippians 4:19 said, Paul said, my God shall supply all of your needs according to the riches in his glory by Christ Jesus. He said, not some of them. Oh my God, he didn't say some. Paul said, my God shall supply all of your needs according to his riches and his glory by Jesus Christ. One translation says, you can be sure that God will take care of everything you need. His generosity exceeding even yours in the glory that pours out from Jesus. Let me say this. Only God, watch this now, can take care of your every need. Only God can take care of your every need. He can take care of your spiritual needs. He can take care of your psychological needs. He can take care of your physical needs. Because that's why David says here, yours, O Lord, is the greatness, the power, the glory, the victory, and the majesty. Everything in the heavens and on the earth is yours, O Lord. And this is your kingdom. We adore you as the one who is over all things. Wealth and honor come from you alone. For you rule over everything. Not some of it, but you rule over everything. That means the Bank of America, I rule over it. Wells Fargo, I rule over it. I rule over it. I rule over the university. I rule over everything. The doctor, I rule over. The physicians, I rule over. David, in other words, David had concluded, ladies and gentlemen, that everything is subject unto God. Everything. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how small it is, but everything is subject unto God. Listen, we're living in a generation. We're living in a generation that thinks that people and things are the source to their success. Let me say this again. We're living in a generation where people think people and things are the source to their success. And because we have these social media platforms, they are deceiving so many people. They are deceived because they perceive the wrong information or idea of what success is. I'm going to say this again. People are being deceived because they perceive the wrong information or idea of what success is. True success, watch this now, and true happiness is only found in God. And I'm going to be honest with you. Can I tell you the truth? To be honest with you, we were doing better without social media. Now that we got social media, the suicide rate is on high, depression is up, anxiety is up. Why? Because people are buying into that misconception that is what success is. They're only going to show you what they want you to see. I see couples, if you ain't be up on Facebook and Twitter, they look like they lovey-dovey. But if the truth can be told, one sleeping on the couch and the other one sleeping in the other room. But they just make show on the social media, deceiving you to believe that everything is all right. I see people on social media flashing fake money like they got it going on. But that's just a 20 with some paper with a 1 at the end of it. You don't believe me? Ask him for $1 and see what he gonna tell you. I'm broke. Let me say this. Let me say this. Can I be honest with y'all? I didn't know how this thing was gonna go today. Let me say this. To the people who wants to get married. Let me say this. I'm going to give you a truth right now. Because some of you might be engaged and some of you might be anticipating on getting married. Let me tell you this right here. Whoever you marry is not going to fulfill you. I'm going to say this again. Whoever you marry now, I'm going to tell you right now, is not going to fulfill you. Because true fulfillment can only come from God. I'm going to tell you right now. Let me tell you something. True fulfillment is going to only come from God. Because let me understand. Let me share this with you. Nothing will be able to satisfy you like God. And I see people just tell me, man, I'm getting married. I said, do you know what you're getting into? And marriage can be a beautiful thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But I'm gonna tell you the reason why it's so many divorces right now is because people get married looking for someone to fulfill them. And I'm here to tell you, whoever you marry is not going to fulfill you. Because God so designed it that true fulfillment and happiness can only come from God. If you ain't satisfied with God, you ain't going to be satisfied with him. And she ain't going to be satisfied with her. Because the real fulfillment comes with God. When you have a good relationship with God and she got a good relationship with God, then you on easy street then. But if you marry somebody that don't know Jesus, you in trouble. He can't make you happy. She can't make you happy. If you ain't happy with God and you ain't happy with yourself, you're finna be a mess. It's finna be a mess. Because when they get depressed, you don't have the power to bring them out. When they go through their moods, you don't have the power. You don't have it. But only one who has that power to bring satisfaction to the soul is only God. It's only God. It's only God. Going into a marriage expecting somebody to fulfill you is a delusion. And it's a complete misconception. I'm going to say this again. Going into a marriage, expecting somebody to fulfill you and complete you. When people tell me I'm marrying them because they complete me, I say, that's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. Abort now. Because they complete me. Because it's a misconception. And why do you think that there's so many divorces going on in the marriage? Because they find out very quickly that the one that I married can't make me happy. They can't make you happy like God. But when you are happy and she is happy, oh my God, what a joy you're going to have in the Lord. When they know who they are in the Lord. You better not marry nobody that don't know who they are now. I'm telling you, you headed for some trouble. Let me tell you something. I didn't think it was going to turn out like this. I really didn't. I really didn't think it was going to turn out like this. But ladies, let me tell you something, ladies. Let me give you some advice. If a man can't tell you his 5-year plan, you need to run away from him. Let me tell you right now, if he have no plan for his life, if you ask him where you see yourself in the next 5 years, and he can't tell you where he's going, you need to leave him alone. Because that man, if he can't lead himself, he can't lead you, and he can't lead no family. He got to be sure of who he is in order to be the head of the house. You asking him where you see yourself, I don't know. That's run. You need to run right then. I don't know where we're going to be at 5 years. No. You mean to tell me you have no type of goals? You have no objectives? You have no vision for your life? You need to ask that man, what you got to give then? How can you lead me if you can't lead yourself? How can you show me something when you can't see nothing? God has so designed it that all fulfillment has to come from him. He designed it. And while I was pondering about this thing, and God began to tell me something, he said, there is a reason why I allow impossibilities to exist. I said, Lord, what are you talking about? He began to speak to me this morning. He said, I allow impossible to exist to show anybody that have me. All things can be possible. Let me tell you something. God always, watch this now, he leaves impossible. Why is he leaving impossible around? Because he wants you to every now and then get in a predicament with something that you can't handle. Oh my God, my God. He sets it up. It's something that you can't handle. So he can step in and make it happen. Oh my God. He's designed it that all fulfillment come from God. That woman can't give you the fulfillment. That man, that car, that house, it can't give you the fulfillment. Apart from God, it's meaningless. Well, with God, oh my God, I'm telling you, but with God, all things is possible. And I hear people all the time, and sometimes people don't understand what they say. They always say, it's hard for a rich man to make it into heaven. I was like, but what did Jesus tell him? He said, well, with God, all things are possible. Because Peter even said, then who can be saved? So it behooves me when I hear people talk about poverty is good. Poverty is not good. No. That's why the city is in the predicament that it's in, because of poverty. We have to eradicate that. Only God can fulfill that void, that empty void in your life. Let me tell you something. That empty space in your heart, only God can fill it. Let me tell you, there's no substitute. Only one individual can fulfill that. Only one, and that's God. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm telling you what I know. You're talking about somebody that used to be an ex-alcoholic. And I'm telling you right now, and I tried my best to break it, and I couldn't break it. But the day that I met Jesus Christ, I ain't had to go to no Alcohol Anonymous. I didn't have to get no help because my help came from the heavenly realm. The moment that I met Jesus Christ, he instantly delivered me from alcohol. Let me tell you, there's a difference between man and God. People go to the AA meeting, they go and seek help. But watch this now. Only thing that they do is teach you how to live with your demons. That's all they do. And they'll tell you, once alcoholic, always alcoholic. I said the devil is a liar. Because the God that I serve, he don't just teach me how to live with my demon. He delivered me from my demon. The Bible said, whom the Son set free is free indeed. So no, you ain't going to tell me that I'm one step away from being an alcoholic again. You a lie, because I ain't living with no demon. That demon have been evicted. I've been delivered. I've been covered under the blood of Jesus Christ. People and things can't do it, ladies and gentlemen. But the sovereign God and the one who have all cosmological powers, he is the only one that can do it. David said, but who am I? And who are my people that we would give anything to you? Because everything that we have comes from you and we give you only what you first gave us. Check that out now. And this is why we should acknowledge his attributes. And this is why we should acknowledge his sovereignty. Because we give him only what he gives us first. Only thing we're doing is giving God something that he have already given us. And David said, everything that you and I have, it comes from God. Our very life itself comes from God. Everything we possess comes from God. That house you possess comes from God. That car that you possess, those clothes that you got on, that money you got in the bank, that job that you have, that family that you have, it all comes from God. He said, riches and honor comes from you. You rule everything. You have the power and strength in your hand. And in your hand is the power to make anyone. Oh, my God. He said, in your hand, you have the power to make anyone great and powerful. He said, you have it. That's why you can't count nobody out, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have the power to do that. But only God has that type of power. That's why you can't count them out. Don't judge the book by its cover. Don't judge the book by a cover. I remember one time I was at work and I saw this lady. She had Psycho Pro on her tag, and I said, "What theory do you practice?" She said, "Baby, I'm a Freudian." I said, "I disagree with that theory." I said, because I don't believe that somebody is deterministic and they set at 5 years old. That's just the way their life gonna turn out. I said, because my God, he can touch anybody, and they don't have to stay the way that they are. So I don't believe in Freudians, a theory that once they come out of the womb, when they reach 5 years old, they're gonna be what they're gonna be. I tell them the devil is a liar. But the God that I serve can change anybody's life. You ain't going to tell me that baby going to stay in that state all of their life. Not we serve a God that we serve. Only God, watch this now, is the remedy to a heavy heart. I don't care. Let me tell you something. When you get in that valley of despair, it ain't nothing I can do. It ain't nothing that I can say. I can dance a jig for you, but that will not bring you out of that valley of despair. I'm telling you what I know, because I done prayed for people that had suicidal spirits on them. I'm going to tell you right now, and them spirits will not let loose. But I'm here to tell you, but when you let God come in, God can speak to a thing. God can do a thing that man can't do. He's the only one that can remedy a heavy heart, and he's the only one that can lift your heavy burdens. If you got a heavy burden, the only one who can lift that heavy burden is God. Is God. Is God. And the only one that can give you the peace that surpasses all understanding is God. Let me tell you right now, I done seen people in some of the most dangerous and difficult situations, but their relationship with God, you wouldn't even know that they was going through what they were going through. You can't tell me that ain't God. Where your life's about to get cut off and you still giving God the glory. What a repo man is about to come and get your car, but you still giving God the glory. I'm telling you, when you're on your bed of afflictions, you still giving God the glory. When people are turning their backs on you, you still have peace in the middle of a storm. Only God. And the reason why we're going to get out of here. The reason why David is trying to get the people to see this is because what God is trying to do with just like them, but all of us as well, is he's trying to establish a permanent trait in our heart to show loyalty to God. Now, David is an old man. He's about to die. And he's praising God and telling him, the reason I was successful as king, the reason I reigned for over 40 years and enemies was threatened by me, the reason why I got peace on every side is because of God. Only God can do that, ladies and gentlemen. Only God can work the supernatural way in your life. Miracles in your life. Do things in your life that nobody else or nothing can. I'm telling you right now, he can do some things for you. But you got to have that relationship with him. And you got to believe that he is who he said he is. Standing all over this building. Standing all over this building. Only God.